Herzlich willkommen zum ersten Podcast, den ich auf diesem Kanal seit langem wieder führe. In Zukunft wird es mehr solcher Podcast-Folgen zum Thema Bitcoin, Krypto und Wirtschaft geben. Insbesondere zum Thema Geld, wie du dein Geld schützen und natürlich auch, wie du dein Geld vermehren kannst. Vielleicht wird Politik ebenfalls auch ein Teil werden, da das natürlich auch unser Geld beeinflusst. Ob das die Gunnar-Schuster-Show wird oder etwas anderes, ich weiß es noch nicht. Jedenfalls hatte ich 2016 einen Podcast, der innerhalb von wenigen Wochen auf Platz 1 im Bereich Wirtschaft bei iTunes gekommen ist. Und Updates zum Podcast wird es in Zukunft auf meinem Telegram-Kanal geben und auch auf X, ehemals Twitter. Also stelle sicher, dass du mir dort folgst. Lass uns jetzt starten. Die Finanzwelt steht nicht still. Und die jüngsten Kommentare von Larry Fink, dem CEO von Blackrock, dem größten Vermögensverwalter weltweit, signalisieren einen bemerkenswerten Gesinnungswandel bezüglich Kryptowährungen, vor allem Bitcoin. Denn nach lang anhaltender Skepsis, wo Larry Fink Bitcoin als Betrug bezeichnet hat, hat sich Fink nun als großer Anhänger von Bitcoin zu erkennen gegeben und stellte ebenfalls fest, dass Bitcoin größer als jede Regierung sei. Larry Fink meinte sogar, dass Bitcoin ein internationaler Vermögenswert ist. Und Larry Fink sagte weiter, es ist in vielerlei Hinsicht eine Digitalisierung von Gold. Es basiert nicht auf einer einzigen Währung und kann daher als ein Vermögenswert dargestellt werden, mit dem die Menschen als Alternative spielen können, so Larry Fink. Er sagte sogar weiter, wir hören von Kunden auf der ganzen Welt über den Bedarf an Krypto und er glaubt, Krypto wird diese Art von Rolle als Flucht in die Qualität spielen. Zusätzlich hat Larry Fink einen weiteren Punkt angesprochen. Sie glauben nämlich, dass der nächste Schritt die Tokenisierung von echten Vermögenswerten sein wird, dass sie bereits über die Technologie verfügen, echte Vermögenswerte zu tokenisieren, was einer der Trends für diesen kommenden Bullenmarkt im Kryptobereich werden wird. Und Larry Fink spricht darüber, dass alles transparent auf der Blockchain ist und das zerstört laut Larry Fink die komplette Korruption, wenn man nämlich über ein tokenisiertes System auf der Blockchain verfügt. Und es gibt ein Projekt im Kryptobereich, Alvara, das genau das aufbauen will und kurz vorm Start ist. Und mit einem der Gründer habe ich vor kurzem ein Interview geführt und ich war im Grunde genommen sehr positiv davon überrascht. Bevor wir einsteigen, das Interview wurde auf Englisch geführt und wurde automatisch übersetzt. Was Alvara bietet, sagen sie hier selbst, beispiellose Zugänglichkeit, Transparenz und Effizienz im Fondsmanagement werden die Finanzlandschaft weit über den Bereich der Blockchain hinaus verändern. Und genau das ist das, was auch Larry Fink angesprochen hat. Und Alvara ist der Weg, wie wir diese Veränderungen herbeiführen und am 26. Februar 2024 kann man über Tencent beim Vorverkauf von Alvara teilnehmen. Dazu musst du einfach bei Tencent die Subscription kaufen, also das Abo, und kannst dann in den Vorverkauf von Alvara investieren. Und wenn du bessere Konditionen haben möchtest, dann erhältst du diese bei finanzieller Freiheit durch Krypto. Den Link dazu findest du in der Beschreibung unterhalb des Videos. Und am 4. März findet dann der Start von Alvara statt. Und über das Projekt haben auch schon mehrere große Krypto-YouTuber gesprochen, beispielsweise Altcoin Daily hat bereits über das Projekt gesprochen und auch Leia Heilpern. Aber ich will dich jetzt nicht länger auf die Folter spannen, sondern lass uns direkt mit dem Interview starten. Das ist sehr, sehr spannend, was die gerade aufbauen. Schau es dir an und bild dir deine eigene Meinung. Ich wünsche dir viel Spaß dabei.
Let's start who you are and why did you start Alvara?
Cool. So my name's Callum Mitchell-Clark. I'm one of the two co-founders of Alvara. We've been working on Alvara in some form or another for nearly 2 years now. Well, actually slightly longer than that, 2.5 years. But the current version of Alvara, Dominic Ryder, my co-founder, and I have been working on for 18 months. So I've been in crypto since 2018. I started off as an investor. First token I ever bought, coin I ever bought was XRP in late 2018 when it went on that little run that was never to be repeated. I then got involved in the space in a working capacity in 2021. And have been in it ever since, really. I have a business outside of crypto. So my background is in business management. I run a small business in the south of the UK. Work between the two now.
So what was the reason for starting Alvara for you guys?
We saw a gap in the market, quite a large gap in what is an enormous market. It led in from a project that I was running previously, which was a similar concept to Alvara, but much more centralized. I then teamed up with Dom. Dom was advising us for a while, about a year before we founded Alvara together. And we noticed that there was nothing in the market matching the sort of scale of what we could build with Alvara as a fully decentralized fund management protocol.
Okay. And what's the goal with Alvara? Because you say like tokenized funds for a DeFi future, so maybe you can explain a little bit more about this and what's your goal with it?
Sure. So the development over the last year and a half with planning, but the smart contract development, we've built a new token standard. It's called the ERC BTS, which stands for Basket Token Standard. We've actually recently been given a number by Ethereum, so it's all gone through the Ethereum Foundation. We've submitted the standard for approval, and it's now known as the ERC 7621, which is big news. The standard itself, obviously, will be fully open source. So the commercial side of what we've built with Alvara is a protocol that operates around this new token standard.
So you're the first one who's basically introducing the standard, right?
Exactly, yeah. There have been several other standards. The 6551, which has some elements in similarity with the 7621, and other vaults and certain ways of mimicking digital tokenized funds on chain, but nothing that actually provides a robust decentralized infrastructure layer for the onboarding of funds into Web3.
So maybe you can explain a little bit more the standard so people understand it, because it's just numbers right now, what they hear, and so maybe you can say
sure.
Like,
so it's so it's built on top of the 721. What it allows for is for people to collate underlying ERC20 tokens, an unlimited number of ERC20 tokens, into a basket. They're held in the ERC 7621. Everything is held on chain. And whenever the real unique selling point that this standard has in comparison to products that our competitors have built is that whenever any contribution is made to a 7621, unique LP tokens are minted for the contributor. Now, any of the assets held in the 7621 are non-custodial. So the owner of I'll start from the beginning.
Yes.
So you Gunners, you want to create an on-chain fund. You can do it via Alvara's BTS factory, or you can hand code it yourself and deploy it on chain. If you use our BTS factory, then we have a payment for convenience, if you like, where 5% of your fund has to be made up of the Alva token. You can code it yourself. You can hire developers. You can do it completely separate from Alvara. And if you do that, then obviously Alva doesn't need to be included, but there's that extra development cost that has to go into it. Now, aside from the BTS
and
factory,
finding the people to develop this and so on, this is not the easy part.
Exactly. Aside from the BTS factory, where users can mint their own BTS tokens or contribute or redeem from existing BTS, we also have a leaderboard, which is like a CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap style leaderboard. Now, this will pull through data from every ERC 7621 that conforms to that standard that's minted on chain, whether it's done via Alvara's marketplace, via Alvara's BTS factory, or hand coded elsewhere. What that means is that every BTS minted on chain anywhere will be able to be viewed via Alvara's leaderboard as a first mover. We're kind of like OpenSea was for NFTs. OpenSea is for NFTs.
Alvara you are basically this for crypto funds. So I what I understand is you can create your own fund, right? Then you put it. Then Alvara is analyzing all the tokens which are on the standard, And also like the leaderboard, what I sent is only for the tokens, or is it also for the funds? Then the performance of the
The
funds.
leaderboard is for the funds. So
Okay.
it'll collate data from every 7621 minted on chain, whether via our factory or otherwise. It has all the monetization features of CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, Dex Tools. Then as a protocol, we have the secondary fees of any NFT platform or marketplace, and 0.5% in, 0.5% out for any contributions to this new asset class, which is all solid Ethereum revenue. But what makes the
Go ahead.
76? Sorry, go on.
I just wanted to ask when people, so for Alvara, if I'm a new user, for example, I don't know the standard, I don't know this and so on. If I'm sort of new to crypto, okay, I know like DeFi a little bit and can manage my wallet and so on. But what's the great benefit for people if they use Alvara?
The benefit of using Alvara versus centralized or closed funds or TradFi funds is that it's fully transparent, fully immutable. It has all of the advantages that any blockchain protocol has or standard. That obviously is of value at the base layer because everything is fully transparent, recorded on chain. There's no hiding what's included in a fund, etc.
So I could set up a fund there and put then different cryptocurrencies in the fund, right?
Exactly, yeah. And it's open to anyone. There's no glass ceiling like there is in TradFi, where you have to be in the Ivy League boys club to even invest in a hedge fund, let alone run one. This is open to anyone. Obviously, there are questions when it comes to regulatory, when it comes to the regulatory side of it. But what we're doing, we're taking the Uniswap Labs approach in that we're providing core DeFi infrastructure. It's not up to us. It's not our job to say who can and who can't create their own fund, who can and who can't buy into a fund. If we start doing that, then we're doing the job of the regulator.
Right.
And that's not our job. So we're staying away from that, protected from any regulatory comeback because of that.
There will be probably will there be something like disclaimer or people, so like in Uniswap you have a disclaimer and so on. Probably you will have something similar, right? So people, I don't know.
Exactly. So there's two types of funds that people can set up. It can be full discretionary management, which is 99.9% of the TradFi fund management business industry, or they can actually set up a fund that's entirely controlled by a DAO. In that scenario, the DAO would be made up of the LP holders of that fund.
So let's say you explain LP holders. So if you
sure. So let's say you create a 7621 on Alvara. You then you show your performance of the fund. You communicate it to your community or just anyone who's coming to Alvara. They see that you're performing well, so they want to get involved in your fund. They contribute to it. And this is the unique selling point of this token standard and Alvara versus our competitors. When they contribute to it, they receive ERC20 LP tokens in exchange, like a receipt. Now, what some of our competitors have tried to do is gatekeep decentralization in various different ways. But one of the ways in which they're doing it is by also having LP tokens, but making them non-transferable. So they can only be held by the contributor, and they can only be used to redeem those underlying assets or that ETH or that value in the fund. Whereas what this standard allows for is full transferable ERC20 tokens, which means that the scalability is infinite. If you think of any scenario where an ERC20 token can be used, whether we're talking about staking platforms, derivatives, lending, decentralized governance.
So you could basically set up a fund for let's say, for example, for meme coins, for games on Ethereum blockchain, right? So then you could make them public, and people can invest in these funds, right? So they don't have to buy the token themselves, right?
Exactly. Well, they don't have to buy the token themselves. They can get involved in the fund. They receive the LP tokens. And then if it's a decentralized management setup, those LP tokens double as governance tokens. So in this scenario, we'll try and pull it back into the question you actually asked me, which was to do with security and, warnings and disclaimers and all the rest of it. So in a decentralized fund scenario, the manager will only be able to make proposals to the DAO, who will then be able to vote on changes to the fund, changes to the management fees, proper decentralized management of the fund. So that's one sort of scenario where the risk is mitigated, through the use of a DAO. We've also partnered with a risk rating protocol, who we haven't actually announced yet, so I won't preempt the announcement, but we're integrating with them fully on the platform, and they will provide risk ratings not only in relation to the actual makeup of the funds, but also they'll give risk ratings on the manager's wallet address. So they'll be able to see full history of the manager's wallet, whether or not they've been involved in any honeypots or scams, or even down to their sort of trading history and the riskiness of the decisions they've made in the past. And all of that will be viewable on the Alvara leaderboard as well. So lots of information for people to be able to make a good decision.
It's very nice. And the point what I wanted to go is, you said like what I said before is like, you can when people want to make their own funds, you said they have to have Alvara token in their fund as well, right? So can you go through hypothetically or theoretically through the process how to set up a fund with Alvara then? Is it like
Absolutely.
I have to connect my wallet with the Alvara platform, transfer tokens, or how does it work?
Can we do screen share and
Sure.
I run you through the demo? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is our platform. This is the BTS factory. I'll quickly show you the leaderboard before we get into that as well, which I was speaking about earlier. So this will pull data from every ERC BTS 7621 minted on chain, rank it according to these metrics. Very similar to what you see when you go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. So this is our BTS factory. This is as easy as it is to create and mint your own fund on chain.
Just upload an image.
Upload your image, which is your logo.
Yeah.
Now you can select whether or not you want it to be rebalanced automatically on a monthly basis.
This means like all the token I set, or all the cryptocurrencies I have in, and I can set percentages, and then they will be rebalanced according to this, or how does it work?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So on the next screen, you'll see how the allocation works.
Okay.
And then you can rebalance automatically, or you can do it manually, and you can choose here whether or not you want full discretionary management, or you want it to be controlled by a DAO from the get-go.
Okay. DAO will be like AI supported, or how does it work? Or is it like
so the DAO, so the LP tokens in a BTS will act as governance tokens, and then each manager will have a DAO where they can propose changes to the fund, which can then be voted on by their holders.
Okay. Perfect.
At the moment, this is on testnet, so we've only supplied liquidity for a select few tokens, but when we launch, users will initially have access to any token listed on Uniswap. We are also going to be fully chain agnostic as quickly as possible, and then users will be able to create baskets of any token across any blockchain. Let's go with that. So if you're using Alvara's BTS factory, we have a requirement that a minimum of 5%, you can add more, but a minimum of 5% has to be made up of the Alva token. That's market bought, the same as everything else in the BTS. It doesn't come from some special reserve. What this means is that every time a fund is minted on Alvara, or an existing fund is contributed to, we have market bought Alva at 5% of whatever's going into that fund on Uniswap, which is constant buy pressure on the Alva token.
Nice. Will there be also like a balance then when I set up the fund? For example, like you now chose like the percentages. Will there be also the balance for Alva token, or is this like the 5% from the initial, and then later on, if this is getting more liquidity?
At each rebalance event, it will rebalance to these initial percentages that have been set
okay.
here.
Perfect. Okay.
If it's being done automatically, or the manager can rebalance manually, and then they can change the weightings. They can add additional assets to the fund at that time. They can remove them from the fund. It all comes down to what level of management is happening within the fund, whether it's full discretionary or DAO controlled.
Okay.
We also have a couple of features. So in the DAO controlled management environment, obviously we don't want to let's say, for example, we have a black swan event in crypto and everything, the market's just tanking. We don't want a manager to have their hands so tied to the point where they can't protect their LP holders from such an event. You know, we don't want them to have to make proposals to swap things to stables and then wait for votes to come in, and et cetera, et cetera. So we have an emergency stables option, and any manager can do that, whether DAO controlled or full discretionary. The only cost here is an opportunity cost of, you know, whatever the underlying assets, however they might perform. So a manager can swap everything to a stable coin without it having to go through the DAO.
Okay.
We can also have scenarios where, say, for example, the top 100 by market cap can be whitelisted, and the manager can swap in and out of those. What we're trying to do is, I said we're not gatekeeping decentralization, but we also want to allow for enough freedom for a sensible manager to make changes, and not, you know, necessarily a DAO controlled manager just sub everything out for some honeypot scam and end up rugging a BTS that way. We have a 1/8 minimum contribution. There are no fees initially. We'll have a period when we first launch where we waive the fee, but after that there'll be a 0.1% fee on every new minted BTS. Now you can review the makeup of the fund, and then we mint it.
Can you also add afterwards additional token to the fund?
Yeah. So you can, if it's full discretionary management, you can do that whenever you like. If it's DAO controlled, then depending on what you're trying to add, you'll have to run it through the DAO.
Okay, so people vote for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Just give that a couple of minutes. Or
DeFi blue chips.
But a big part of what we were considering during the planning and development of this platform is not allowing a scenario where there'd be any objection to using this standard. That's why we're not trying to gatekeep decentralization. Essentially, 99.9% of the TradFi ETF market is full discretionary management. So if we only allowed for decentralized funds, we're cutting off, you know, a huge section of the potential market.
Okay. Did it work?
Go early test network seems like it's a bit slow today. There we go. So if we go back to the leaderboard, you can see kind of demo is now live on testnet.
Number one, very nice.
Also, as a manager, you take as default, you'll take 1% management fee on a monthly basis of total TVL. So
how many percent?
1%.
Okay, bro. Okay.
As default, that can be changed in a discretionary management scenario, or in a DAO scenario, it can be proposed to the DAO, or the DAO can actually make proposals if they think their manager's underperforming to, you know, reduce that management fee.
Okay.
I'll show you the bones of what's just happened on Etherscan.
Mm-hmm.
Let it. There we go. So you can see the router has purchased each of the underlying assets at prescribed weightings.
Mm-hmm.
It's then minted the GD, the Gunner Demo BTS, and sent
This is
that
from the 1 ETH. Is it bought, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's taken that 1 ETH, bought each of the underlying assets at the prescribed weightings. It's then minted 1,000 LP tokens, which are owned by the initial minter, and that denotes their stake in the fund. And it's also minted a ERC BTS, which is held by the manager as well. That BTS itself is also fully transferable. So what that means is that the Standard and Alvara support the full life cycle of a business, from initial creation to eventual auction or selling of the BTS token, which has an intrinsic value of whatever management fees it's pulling in.
Very nice. And DeFi is one of the narratives for the next bull market. This is very nice.
DeFi, Bitcoin ETFs,
Yes.
real world tokenization of real world assets. As that happens more and more, and that's snowballing, there's no, the only limitation to the possible scale of this new standard is the speed at which things can be tokenized. We could see very quickly, we could see all sorts of funds coming through with real estate or derivatives or commodities and just anything that you can imagine. We could have exact mirrored tokenized ETFs that you buy on NASDAQ or anywhere else.
If this is like the tokenized form in crypto, right? If this is on Ethereum, basically, then you can put this into the fund, and probably this will also come that they have more tokenized real world assets and so on.
Yeah, I mean Ethereum initially, but we will be fully chain agnostic, so there's no limitation across any blockchain.
So you will have you will be also on Binance Smart Chain and so on, right?
Yeah. The Alva token itself. So we list our IDO is next Monday, the 26th and 27th of Feb. We're then launching the token on Ethereum on the 4th of March. But as a protocol, we'll initially launch on Ethereum, but the BTS and the standard and the ability to create these cross-chain funds will come very soon after launch. As core DeFi infrastructure, we want to launch on Ethereum, which is still the undisputable home of DeFi.
Yes, that's true. So what you were talking a little bit about the potential. What do you think about the potential from Alvara? I mean, you founded it and so on. So you're quite positive about it, probably. So what do you think about the future for Alvara?
Yeah, I'm obviously very bullish on Alvara. I'm just going to stop the share screen now. Go back to me. Yeah, obviously as a founder, I'm extremely bullish. It's all about the potential. Really is limitless. It doesn't mean that's guaranteed. It's a lot of it's about the team and the go-to-market strategy and who we can onboard. One of our major investors, ATH, Enzo Villani from ATH, he was the chief strategist at NASDAQ and at OKX. So we brought him on last month. He runs a few big funds. He's got a 500 million Web3 fund. He wants to create. Yeah. I mean, he's an OG. He was involved in he was a seed investor in Ethereum, and his partner Michael Turpin did the PR for the Ethereum ICO.
So he gamed the financial game, basically. An early investor in Ethereum. Very nice.
Oh, he's been around, and he's already putting together baskets to launch on Alvara. It all depends on making the right partnerships, getting off the ground. A big part of our initial launch will be retail, obviously.
Yes.
We need to prove our concept. We need to get that traction and that go to market. by onboarding retail and people that are already in Web3. But then because we'll be a fully decentralized organization as well. So once we've shown that proof of concept and that proof of product, and we've gained traction, a big part of our job as a foundation is going to be getting mass adoption for this. So going to our contacts that we have in TradFi, getting them to create these funds on chain.
So this is really the next step after launch, right? So
yeah.
The first step is
exactly.
proof of concept, and then you go to other key players in order to get them on board, and this could be a huge snowball effect, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, we're of the same opinion. I think what makes this truly scalable over any of the solutions that our competitors have created to date is when someone contributes to this new asset class, unique LP tokens are minted to the contributor. It's the scalability in those LP tokens that separates what we're doing with Alvara and this new token standard from our competitors. It means that you as a manager can add liquidity, can build staking, governance, derivatives, lending strategies, anything that can be built on top of a normal ERC20 token can be built on and around the ERC BTS.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, take Curve as an example. Their DeFi infrastructure and their whole gauge weight voting mechanism allowed for the creation of hundreds of sub protocols. Yeah, so Alvara's we were inspired by Curve Finance's gauge weighting mechanism. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
Yes.
But yeah, so a huge chunk of their supply is allocated to incentivizing participation in their liquidity pools. Alvara's done the same thing in that 44% of our total supply is dedicated, it's set aside in a rewards vault, and it goes to incentivize participation in BTS.
So you have like a voting system where people can basically vote for weekly, probably, right?
Weekly, exactly, yeah. So we've got 88 million Alva that will be distributed over 31 years. Users have to stake Alva on our staking platform. While they're staking, they're also receiving income as a percentage of the fees that the protocol takes. But a bigger and more important part of staking is that they receive VE Alva in exchange. Now, that allows them to vote on decisions around the protocol like any other DAO, but it also lets them vote on a weekly basis for which BTS they want to receive a percentage of that week's rewards.
So is it based on to understand, is this based on the funds, the BTS funds they're in, and then people can vote on different funds and okay, understand.
Yeah, precisely. So say and what this does actually is it allows BTS managers to incentivize their LP holders. So let's say you've created a BTS and we'll call it a GD, and then you've got your GD LP holders. Now they can vote, anyone can vote, but they will be incentivized to vote for your BTS on a weekly basis so that they are receiving a percentage of these rewards. The rewards don't go to the BTS, they go to the LP holders of the BTS.
I understand. Okay.
Directly. So that they have this incentive to stake Alva, which is locking up more of our supply, receive VE Alva, and then vote. Then they're receiving more Alva as rewards, which they're in turn going to stake up to receive more VE Alva. And it's just this perpetual cycle of locking up more and more Alva, constantly, pushing the price up of Alva, taking out supply from circulating.
They could create through this something like passive income. Depends obviously of the price of Alvara, but they could create passive income with this, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. And what's more interesting is that you as a manager, your performance in the BTS and your your management of those underlying assets, you don't have to be the best fund manager on earth to lock up more TVL than one of your competitors. all you have to do is find ways to incentivize, and this is what Convex did in the curve wars. This was the whole premise for the curve wars. But what you have to do is find ways to incentivize your LP holders to join your fund, and that's not necessarily because they're making the most gains on the tokens that you've included. It could be because they're receiving the most amount of alva on that weekly basis, and that's worth more to them on a dollar value than any gains that could be made by holding those underlying assets.
Okay, this means basically, if from my understanding, if I have a fund and people vote on this, the more people vote, the more they receive, more tokens they receive, or the more percentage they receive, or how does it work?
The more votes a BTS receives. So let's say, just as an example, you've got 5 BTS that are being voted for. Your BTS receives 50% of that week's votes. That means that you'll receive 50% of that week's alva emissions from the rewards, and they're distributed evenly between all of your LP holders.
Okay, I understand. Okay,
Well,
the
by
more,
LP.
yeah, this means that the more popular, the better the results for the LP holders, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And the more TVL you're locking up by incentivizing your LP holders to join your fund, the higher the 1% management fee will be for you. And the more income you're earning from that, the more creative you can get with finding different ways to incentivize those LP holders.
Sounds really interesting. It's honestly, so everybody can set up their own fund and basically earn passive income. It's a win-win-win-win situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we call it. Yeah, exactly.
Very nice.
Yeah, but the potential. I mean, we saw what happened with Curve Finance, and their DeFi infrastructure alone allowed for the creation of tens of billion-dollar protocols that could not have existed if it wasn't for this mechanism that they instilled. Alvara has exactly the same scalability, but rather than talking about hundreds of protocols, the size of the market we're moving into, the ETF market, which is estimated to be 30 trillion by 2030, we're talking, this is a whole different.
Is it the whole ETF market, or is it, or you're talking about a Bitcoin ETF in special?
No, that's the whole. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's the Bitcoin ETF market. No,
yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, no, this is the whole ETF market, which is estimated 30 trillion by 2030. And that's not even taking into consideration the snowball effect of tokenizing real world assets in Web3 at the moment. So with that in mind, Alvara, being inspired by Curve Finance's infrastructure layer and gauge weight voting mechanism, we have the potential for thousands or tens or even hundreds of thousands of individual sub protocols and sub DAOs to be built on top of our very bottom layer of decentralized infrastructure.
Very nice. Sounds really, really great. Really great.
Yeah, we're very bullish, and very much looking forward to the next few months with our launch and seeing where we get.
You said launches 26th of February, right?
Yeah, IDO is 26th and 27th of February with Tencent.
Yeah.
We're having an exclusive IDO on Tencent. Our Uniswap listing is then the 4th of March, which is the following Monday.
Okay, I understand. Very good. Thank you for your time. It was amazing talking to you and getting the insights, also like the screen share and showing like the back end of Alvara, because lots of people are interested in my opinion on this. And
no, it's really good to meet you as well, Gunners. Thanks for holding the interview, and we will have a chat again soon.
Hopefully. See you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
nice one. Cheers. Bye.